And the woman said, "The serpent, he beguiled me." Genesis 3:12. Throughout the modern man records, this is a story that still lives in many religious views, folklore, legend. Yes, this story somehow or another has woven itself into the fabric of mankind's consciousness. And it seems that after all, there may be, in fact, foundation and evidence to prove that this was more than just a Bible Sunday school story. Imagine your world forever changed. Could you really handle it? Many of us say, "Oh yes, yes, yes. We're strong enough. We have ascended high enough. We're aware enough. We could handle that." I question that because no matter how you look at this, each of us have constructed within our conscious minds a tapestry that no one else sees but just you and I. And what we do is that we paint upon our tapestries from that which we see, and particularly that which we don't believe, sometimes stronger than to that which we do believe. So let's get ready. Let's get ready to now begin to truly turn the tables upside down. For we're going to really test our cognitive dissonance. Because at the end of this program, you will either choose one path or you will choose the other path. I'd like to say a thank you to Zig TV. Zig TV hidden from the public. Go over there to the YouTube channel. This is their website. I'll leave this as well into the links. This was from a documentary that they have produced, and it is an exceptional piece of work. And I would encourage you to go over there and watch the full 50 minutes of some of the most remarkable documentary television. It has been said that the robots are taking over. It would appear that that is the case. And get this, it would appear that it is older than we can imagine. Humanity is not alone. There are others more advanced, more evolved. I would say that in those dark, recessive cracks in the consciousness of mankind, there exists and lives this truth. But it is a truth that is so terrible, so difficult that our very species has rejected it. We have tried to self-induce amnesia, and we have done our best to hide it. But the problem is, it won't stay hidden. Not only are they more advanced, they're more evolved. Maybe not all that new after all, is it? Just so you know, this is the first iPhone. Now, I want to stop here a second. Isn't it not amazing as to how we have seen in some of the earliest stone records of creatures all holding devices, purses, whatever you want to give your description? How is that any different from today? When it really comes down to it, mankind knows very little. For even that which we know, we still know not what to do with it. Our understanding is limited. It's narrowed to a small parameter set by very finite boundaries, primarily that of the visual. I want to let you to meet Maria. Now, she's not like you and I. She stands about 5'6". She is about 2,000 years old. She is not human. She is reptilian. And she's not alone. She was discovered last April of 2016. And what they found, and these were tomb robbers. Let's just say that each one of them now believe they live under a curse. Well, I'm not so sure about the curse, but I'm sure each one of those individuals do not sleep well at night. What we've come to discover are two different species. One is more mechanical than bio, but let there be no doubt, it was a living creature, as we will see. This is Waita. This is one of Maria's friends. This is the institute that was founded as the result of this archaeological find. They were brought notice of this find in Peru in October 2016, just a year ago. This is the curator. As he tells the story, they were discovered in a sarcophagus with small, the description is mummified bodies and organs, but as they found out, well, it's not really mummies, but you will see for yourself. This is what was discovered, and not just one. You can see particularly the cranial area up here. Notice as well the bow in the lower cranium here. And notice as well as the protrusion that sticks out in the middle of the two eyes. You'll see more of this as we go on. As the curator said, it's not really a mummy because it still has all of its organs. It's inside the body. They have 3 appendages, we would call fingers, with 6 joints in each appendage. It mystified them because they weren't sure how they could have been preserved in the state that they were. But, and here it is, it's the Ankari Institute where the bodies were in fact examined. And they took, from what I can tell, every protocol necessary in doing a full forensic examination. These are the fingers. No, excuse me. These are Maria's feet. Now, as the curator says in the film, all the bodies have this particular peculiarity in itself. They all have 3 fingers. Now that is peculiar. You have to admit. Now, we all know of the Nazca lines, the drawings. Well, I bet you we kind of missed this one. We've taken this as the depiction of a spider. But many thought about that, it must have been a spider of a different creation because it's not really like the same arachnoids that we have. Could this have been a depiction of something else? Within the legends in Peru are of the 3-fingered people. They have small bodies and gray type bodies. Now, what they found where these specimens were concerned were taken directly out of a sarcophagus. Yeah. They are a gray alien type bodies, but they're covered with dust also, and the organs as well. And it's a strange type of dust. Maria was taken from the ground. She was not found in a sarcophagus. She was buried in the ground, as I just said. And here she is. He goes on to say that the most interesting thing that they found, and it's one that not even the authorities can answer. Now, I can tell you the Peruvian government considers this to be a fraud. They consider it to be a manufactured hoax. However, the state of Peru, the nation of Peru, excuse me, did nothing in their examination. They don't even consider these artifacts, these bodies, of any national treasure or of archaeological value. Thus, as far as the Peruvian government is concerned, they have no value at all. The problem is, this is Maria's toes. Now, how do you have toe prints like we do? I mean, if you're going to manufacture a fraud, I have to say this one here would be, wow. But as you can tell, that would almost be literally an impossibility. No, there's something going on. And even as the curator has pointed out, this is unlike anything that has ever been found. This is Maria's feet. Look at this, folks. Same thing that you and I have. Although I would dare say, I don't know if you and I would be able to survive as long as Maria has. So the location of where they found these bodies. So we get just a, I don't know, as they were driving up to this location, which they could not film, just when they were on the beginning of the trips, that, yeah. By the way, I noticed something. These clouds are very different. Now, these are very high altitude. When the gentleman in the documentary was saying that when they started the climb, they were at 11,000 feet, and they climbed for almost an hour. So, but look at the clouds. Very strange, isn't it? So when they get to this location, they bring out these specimens, bodies, and as you can see, all of them are covered in this white um, material. They did have it analyzed. As you can see, the, whether you want to call it the skeleton, exoskeleton, very well preserved. What they did find interesting about these creatures, and they'll give the dimensions here, is pay attention to the neck. Apparently, they had the ability to raise their heads, their necks, very unique to say the least. As you can see, serrated teeth. This again is an extension of the neck. And of course, you can see the eyes. This is the creature completely stretched out. This is a very odd anomaly. You could see how it shows up on the x-rays. You can see that the hands come nearly at the knee joint. And very clearly, they have determined that this is manufactured. These are 3 hands that they have recovered. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, where you and I only have 3. These are the 3 specimens. I want you to pay particular attention up here. You will notice that there is a missing part out of here. They took that for the DNA sample, in which they did get what they would call healthy DNA. Notice the fingernails still intact. Pay attention. The skin and the implant. Very evident in all the specimens. Look at the skin. You say, how old is this? Well over 1,000 years old. Look at that. This is the implant. It's some sort of gold type material. And here is one of the specimens. Here is that disc. This is what's underneath this material. Yeah, I'm sure a couple of you are already figuring this one out, huh? Again, the specimens, very well defined fingernails. They actually believe that these are manufactured appendages. And here's the x-ray. And there you can see it. This is definitely bone material. You can see how it's connected. In a physiology class, biology, you would learn, and again, this implant under the skin. Notice the detail of the x-ray. The precision on this is uncanny. Notice how each index is connected just as we are. And you can see how there is a distinct, what you would see in your wrist. These are 2 skulls. Same interesting features. Again, this raised ridge area in the skull. Clear indication of what would be something here. Notice the 2 ridges on the skull here. The cranial goes back. This is not human. Again, notice the ridges, very distinct here as well. Very interesting. Nothing like ours. This is the neck area underneath. These are the x-rays. Notice again how the back of the skull comes down into this area, a very interesting indentation. One of the things that is unique about these creatures is that they have no ears. They all have this, what appears to be some sort of metal, and the brains were left intact. You can see the detail. There's the creature. they found um, these are two whole specimens. This is the neck area. This is what we would call the collarbone area. You can see as far as the hands go down and the feet, they walked differently, but the way they walked made their feet perfect for the way that these creatures moved. So they were approximately 25.5 inches long and 7.5 inches wide. You can see such amazing detail. These are manufactured beings, is what has been determined. They were part living flesh, part the the skeletons is you the framework was very much manufactured, or what appears to be. This is an MIR, excuse me, of the cranial cavity. Elongated necks of what many of the stories that we hear of the Greys today. Um, this is an interesting collarbone, which we would have it, but the way that it is actually made, um, very odd. And then, of course, you can see a very clear structure. Here's the neck. You can begin to see exactly how the tissue would have looked. Gives you an idea. Again, they even had implants in the hip joint where today, as you age, this joint in humans uh, degenerates, it disintegrates over time. So you can tell there would be no room for a digestive system. Breathing would have been, well, much more of a mechanical function, it would appear. And again, they would have had a very difficult time in their movement. But again, with the elongated arms, that would compensate for that. You get a pretty good idea. This is the female. No, excuse me, it's still the male. This is what's very interesting. You can see a very defined, which we would consider to be a spine or an esophagus, but the rib cage around it is just what's so interesting. And again, remember, this is the opening that we saw for the neck to be extended up. Now we're going to be looking at the female. She has something on her chest here that you'll see in the x-rays. She has a raised area in the abdomen. I don't know, but it's definitely protruded out. And you'll actually be able to see this up here a little bit more. So as you can see, the protrusions are very defined. Here's this device, and here it is under the x-rays. And notice again, each one of the ribs, the distinctness of each one's symmetry on here, they're perfect. And here's what they found in her. Yeah, those look like eggs, don't they? There again. Now, most people would try to say, well, this is a hoax. Well, today, everyone is going to have a different view, different opinion. Again, how would you know the truth if it was staring in front of you? You've been trained to doubt everything. So, people with some medical training in the background, you know what's going on here. They're using an ultraviolet light, that's skin, or what appears to be something like skin. Definitely, as they said, scale like, reptilian. They found this one in the sitting position, didn't have a head, but they did find the head eventually. They said, but again, this is very unusual. Look at that. And there you have it. Again, notice what we would call ribs, each very distinct. The ligaments, you could see where they were. Now, this is Maria. She is rather large. She's about 5'6". Those are her hands. Those are her fingerprints. All of them have their fingerprints and toe prints. Here she is. She was found in the fetal position when they unearthed her. Very distinct fingernails. This is a view looking down where the eye would be. Amazing, isn't it? This is her in X-ray. They've had as many medical people, first year medical students will tell you that this can't be manufactured. To get this level of complexity, as I have read, is almost impossible. Not to say that it's not, but they looked at it from many different from the x-rays to the MRIs. You can see this, the detailed. You can actually see how the ligaments, tendons would be attached to the bone structures. And there's that view, what we just saw on the x-ray. That's her cranial. Her teeth were not like the others. Her teeth was much more designed for chewing. The eyes, the nasal cavity, much more, I don't know how you would say it, its design. She had no ears. That's one thing about the species. They don't have ears. And it may account for the larger cranial area. But there you go. And here is the gentleman that was responsible for bringing this out. As he said, there are two different species. These are what they call the hybrids, the Europus. It means humanoid. Much like, in ancient Kabbalah, or the golem. These beings, and Maria is over 2,000 years old, just to let you know. Now, you can go throughout the legends of stories and past religious tales, folklore of creatures like this. So they found many of them. Very interesting, isn't it? I mean, if you were going to build a robot, make it a bio-robot. But as you can see, as this researcher is showing, um, they're old. So what do we do with this? What does this imply? These are reptilians. They were here. They obviously have very advanced technology. And if the carbon-14 can be relied on, and I think with organic matter, maybe even better than anything else, particular, um, let's say, living specimens, living tissue, not living tissue in the sense of a person like us today, but living tissue is the fact that you can get a specimen of 2,000 years old. So are the stories of the serpent people real? It would definitely fall into line, at least into one of my statements, that I believe that this is the superior race. And if we found these, are there more in other places? This is one of those conundrums. The people who are becoming caretakers of these artifacts, the DNA samples have been done. They're not of here. And take a good look at them. Again, notice the cranial area. If they had the skin on them, these are your reptiles. These are your serpents. That would be the reptilians. So now what? What do we do with this? Do we dismiss it as merely a hoax, as the government officials would like us to believe? Because there is a lot invested in this. Because if this is in fact real, and no one's been able to come in and say with DNA samples that this is a hoax. No. So if the DNA evidence that's coming forth is correct, We have to rewrite history, folks. We have to rewrite religion. We have to rewrite the whole concept that humans are the premier dominant species. Because regardless of how you want to decide this in your own mind, the fact that it's out there, the fact that now we use the very technology, the very science to help give us a core of stability, it says there's another species here that's more advanced than we are. It says that they are far more advanced in us, that they actually have built for them basically Borgs, part flesh, part machine. And so much so that they have the ability to apparently reproduce. And then we have the superior of that species. What do we do with this? Who are they? What are they? Are they still here? If they are, where? Have they blended in? What we're seeing is over 2,000 years old. What has happened in that period of time? These are questions that I look forward to finding out as well.